Good day everybody, my name is Norman Gil Xavier and today we will be discussing the managing labor productivity. Just what is productivity? Productivity measures the amount of products and services produced or the outputs with the amount of inputs needed to operate those goods and services. Inputs are the resources used in producing a product or service. It can be the labor, customer, capital, and natural resources used in creating outputs. Outputs are the products or services that are produced. Example is the meal served, guest house, and rooms cleaned. Jones and Lockwood 1989 said that productivity is concerned with the efficient use of resources. It can be determined as outputs divided by inputs. Productivity challenge. According to Johnson and Ball 1989, the challenges comes from selecting the right input and output variables and developing a ratio which genuinely measures productivity. There are 3 articles in the late 1990s illustrate this in 3 different sectors: the hotels, restaurants, on-site food services. Industry productivity performance. Productivity growth in service industry has generally tended to be lower than in manufacturing industries. This is also certainly true of the hospitality sector. Mill 1989 argues that the industry has traditionally placed little emphasis on employee development and training. He suggests that managers can only understand the investment necessary in a machine and the value of a preventative maintenance program for the machine. However, they do not regard money spent on an employee as an investment. Rather, it is seen purely as a cost. He proposes that ROI means return on individual as well as return on investment. Measures of productivity. Before management can improve, labor productivity agreement must be reached on how to measure labor productivity. Measures of productivity have tended to focus on the effectiveness of the labor force based on ratio of input to output. The best measures of productivity are those that are inflation-proof and that measures the performance of output. Productivity could be measured as the number of guests, rooms occupied, or meals served divided by the number of employee hours required. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics defines productivity as output per employee hour. It defines output as sales receipts adjusted for inflation and indexed to a base year to facilities comparison. Input is the number of hours worked by all employees, both supervisory and non-supervisory. The resulting ratios are productivity indices that are not affected by increase in price or wages. Data and development analysis. One particular approach that has been adopted to examine productivity in hospitality is data and development analysis, or the DEA, as advocated by Anderson noong 1996. First developed by Charles noong 1978. DEA is a powerful parametric multivariate multiple linear programming technique that benchmark units by comparing combination of inputs and output at the same time. Since DEA uses the production units that are best in its class as reference materials, the method is very much in line with the basics ideas underlying the concept of benchmarking. The best performing units are assigned 100% efficiency and all other units a level of productivity proportional to these best ones. Hence, there is no absolute measures of productivity as well with a ratio.
Good morning, my name is Norlin Simera and I will be discussing here the hotel productivity. Huang and Chang 2003 used DEA to measure managerial efficiency of 45 hotels in Taiwan, In the study of Wang and Chang 2003, it explained that the common hotels that are located in the urban areas are the most efficient and more effective in serving international tourists. They are more qualified type of hotels that the international chain really needed. As to measure the managerial efficiency of 45 hotels in Taiwan, they use DEA, which is called Data Envelopment Analysis, or DEA. It is a non-parametric evaluation with numerous inputs and multiple outputs. It has already been widely employed in the evaluation of hospital efficiency due to its tremendous advantages in efficiency evaluations. So next one, Sigala 2004 explored productivity in both rooms division and F&B. She found that productivity in rooms division was determined by the inputs of number of rooms, front office payroll, administration and general expenses, and demand variability. Restaurant productivity. In the exploring of Anderson, he showed that varied combinations of inputs and outputs can have a big impact on the relative productivity of restaurants in the sample. However, in the study of Reynolds and Thompson 2007, they proved that with the uncontrollable variables, it will have effect in restaurant productivity. Let's tackle about the improving productivity. In the study of Jones and Lockwood 1989, companies with large fixed costs, such as hotels, were encouraged to pursue a market-oriented strategy that focused on boosting output while maintaining input levels. Companies with a high proportion of variable expenses were encouraged to use a cost-cutting strategy that proposed maintaining output while lowering costs, maximizing the productivity. And the basic way to improve productivity is to maximize the efficiency on its inputs to effectively overcome the desired output. So now let's proceed to workplace design. Based on this data, a product and service combination that will appeal to the target market segments is created. Objectives. There are several objectives involved in planning a new facility. First, the planner aims to ease the production process. Second, objective is to minimize the cost and time required to handle goods within the operation. Third, the planner must also try to minimize the investment in equipment. And final objective should be to facilitate cleaning and maintenance.
Designing flow. Productive use of space occurs when two functional areas, for example, reception and storage, are positioned near each other. Productive use of space happens. Material flow, employee flow, guest flow, and paperwork flow can all be evaluated to see how they can be reduced. Considered significant, a similar analysis can be performed on a guest entering the hotel to assure the mini break. In addition, cross-traffic, backtracking, and bypassing should be avoided to the greatest extent possible. Work processes. Task planning can help enhance work procedures. The examination of specific actions involved in task planning. Accomplishing a task in order to develop a more efficient technique for completing the task. The initial stage in these procedures is to choose the work to be examined, selected an easy task for the novice task planner, such as buttering bread or arranging salads. A complicated operation like cleaning a room could be broken down into smaller pieces, like making the bed and dusting the room. More complicated and time-consuming jobs can be selected and analyzed. The task planner gains experience and confidence. Employee schedule. Management can use this technology to help balance seating and table services patterns. Workloads can be distributed evenly among services personnel. Table turns, average chair occupancy, and services productivity can all be used to describe output. There are 4 phases for creating a labor schedule by Thompson, 1998. Customer forecasting is the first stage. The second step entails translating customer needs into employee requirements, while the third necessitated the creation of a workforce timetable to guarantee that consumers are appropriately served. And the fourth phase entails assessing the controlling the outputs of the first 3 steps in the real time. Forecasting demand. There are several predicting truths that must be recognized. Cavana and 9 Year 1999. To begin, forecast is made for in advance of the actual event. It is more difficult to make and more prone to inaccuracy. The motel gets closer to the scheduled date. Second, forecasting is fraught with risk. As a result, decision must be made. When forecasting room sales a year in advance, for example, having information on competition demand for room nights and room availability is critical charge, and the like. Decision must be made when definitive knowledge is unavailable. The third is past data is the starting point for anticipating the future. This isn't necessarily an accurate forecast for the future. And finally, prophecies are seldom as precise as they applied. Employees' requirements. The time allotted to clean a room according to the hotel's performance requirements is the housekeeper's productivity benchmark. Flexible position exists with the hotels by Cavana and 9-year 1999. Regardless of business volume, fixed employees' jobs are filled. This would include both comprehensive and non-salaried supervisor and managerial positions. A small number of hourly opportunities will usually be available. Are referred by do tasks normally performed by hourly employees or employees who have been cross-trained may be assigned to another position.
It is better to take employee-related factors into account when developing the schedule rather than setting a schedule and assigning employees to fill it. The result is a timetable that shows a better match between personnel and their shifts because job limits are taken into account in advance. A well-planned schedule is necessary for the efficient operation of a business. If an employee comes to the office and does not know what to do, it can affect his or her morale because there is no proper schedule to serve his or her needs and skills. In the long run, it can affect their career growth. Real-time scheduling. It is necessary to compare employee hours scheduled with the actual number of hours worked. It is typically done on a weekly basis. The significant differences are identified and studied. The cause of the discrepancy has been identified and corrective action has been taken. The three causes of labor expense variance are volume, rate, and efficiency. Workforce flexibility. Flexibility in the workplace means being able to quickly adapt to new circumstances as they arise. An employee who is flexible can change their plans to navigate or overcome unanticipated obstacles. Temporal flexibility. Temporal flexibility is concerned with the pattern of hours worked by individual workers and the use of different types of worker: full-time, part-time, casual, and seasonal. For example, business people will tend to check out early during the week to get on the road or to make appointments. On the weekend, the hotel may cater to families seeking a getaway experience. It makes sense to bring in housekeepers later on the weekends compared to during the week. Functional flexibility. Functional flexibility is the selection and training of staff so that they are able to work in more than one job position within the operation. It is often referred to as multi-skilling.
Conclusion. Because hotels require a lot of labor, increasing productivity is crucial. The number of employees can have a major impact on the bottom line. However, it is still a difficult area. The concept of labor productivity is still rather ambiguous. Lunyos et al. 2006 conclude. The more effort put into comprehensive, the more hazy it becomes. The idea becomes DEA appears to be one strategy in the study field that tackles many of the problem of assessing production. However, due to the technique's intricacy, it appears doubtful that it will be implemented.